Good afternoon, everybody. This morning, as I was leaving, my son asked, Daddy, who's strongest? Superman or Hulk? Strong, is it? Hard, right? I'm going to ask you guys an easier question. Consider this is drawn to scale. Everybody can see this? Table 1 and table 2. Which one of these two tables is lean and long? Raise your hands if you think it's table number 1. Raise your hands if it's table number 2. Okay? So, majority of us think it's table number 1. Would you be surprised if I told you that these two are exactly the same? I'll quickly, I have a ruler here. You can measure it later on if you want. But it's 6.5 to 14 inches long, centimeters long. What happened here? Does this mean we all have to go to our eye doctor? No. We are certifiably human. Dear Toastmasters and guests, it is indeed, it's partially true that these legs and the orientation actually misled us, served as distractions. However, just this innocuous mention of Superman versus Hulk actually played a bigger part in figuring out that one was longer than the other. Because it triggered our biases. What is a bias? Bias is this feeling or in a way of doing things when we have these triggers. It happens without a reason. It's preconceived. Now, what is the bias that is working here? It's called priming. There are a couple of biases that actually affect us with just the first piece of information that we get. The first one is priming. So what happened? What is priming? Priming is you act to a certain stimuli, a certain way, and when the next stimulus happens, you act similarly. To give you an example, people are more favorable to recognize the word nurse if it's preceded by the word doctor than grid. Well, let's go back to our first example. Because I used a lean Superman versus a hulkier Hulk, you are primed to think that there are actually, those two tables are different, are not similar. So these priming could work different ways. It could be vocal or visual. And I used both of them in my example earlier, just to make sure you guys are nudged to the direction I wanted, right? Now, yet another bias that can work just with the beginning, the first piece of information is called anchoring. Anchoring is, it forces you to think a certain way just from the first piece of information, usually a number called an anchor given to you. You might be familiar with anchoring in a lot of our daily lives, like people talk about it during negotiations. However, we all seen anchor affect us. Everybody has a driver's license here, so you guys should be all familiar with this guy. the cheesy car salesman, anchoring you towards an MSRP price, right? We have all been in that situation. Now, is he the only one doing anchoring? Let's see. You guys are familiar with this guy? Steve Jobs, right? When he introduced the iPad, what did he do? Well, let's look at an easier example. We all go to restaurants, right? This is a sample menu. Have you noticed something here at work? You see this arrow? They put a high price item next to a lower price item, just to make the lower price item appear like a deal. Wait, there's even a lower one, 19. This was 145, this is only $19. That's a great deal for a meal, right? So, what's happening here? Same thing, just done differently, influencing people. As entrepreneurs, just being aware of these different biases at work can help us do pricing, for instance, or nudge people in the ways certain way we want them to act. In summary, people live busy lives, and we do decisions on rule of thumbs. Those rule of thumbs are great. However, they lead us into the systematic biases. We saw a few today, framing and anchoring, for example. As a normal human being, we want to be aware of these when we are making decisions so that we can make decisions differently. In addition, as entrepreneurs, maybe we can nudge people a certain way to help them make the decisions that we want them to make. So, Toastmasters, guests, and fellow entrepreneurs, the next time you're making a fast decision, watch your bias. Thank you.
Definitely going to be more careful about how you do that. We just have 1 minute.